Good morning. On this another bright sunny morning here in Winnipeg. So what's happening here now? Well, I did come back to the model table yesterday and I was trying to adapt my apparatus here to make an upside down turntable. Now I'm not going to describe everything because I think I do a pretty good job of that in the rollback. Yeah, I think what we should do here is we'll just roll back and then we can get the model ship back on the table and do what I had said I was going to do yesterday and didn't do it. Does that make sense? Yeah, let's just sort of roll back here. I have done nothing on the breakwaters. I've been trying to decide what to do here about my upside down turntable. And I was looking at this thing here. If you remember, way back in one of the early episodes, I made this. And the idea was, at that time, I thought that in all likelihood, I'd be doing most of my videoing with the camera hanging overhead and looking straight down. And I know a lot of creators do that. And then it wasn't very long I realized that that's not my style. What I wanted to do was have it sort of like, how would the viewer, if the viewer was to walk in here and he wanted to watch me, or she, how would she look at it or he look at it? And so what I try to do is position the camera the way the viewer would look, so that you get the best view instead of just looking straight down. And it helps. It sort of gives me something to do in a creative, from a creative aspect, because that's what I like to do. Other people like to build models, and the videoing is secondary, or maybe way down the list. For me, I think the videoing of this is probably at the top of the list. And the model, well, if it turns out good, well, that's good. If it doesn't, well, that's okay. I had fun videoing. So what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to have to do something with all my wires. This thing here, it can be locked in different positions in those slots that you see running across the gantry there. And right now I've got it back a little bit. And I'm going to bring it forward one notch, and I think maybe if I'm smart, I'm going to take our Rodney and put it in a safe place here. And it's a good thing I can cut out the dead spots. Okay. I've been meaning to rerun these wires sometime anyway. They're sort of a mess, a tangled mess here. Now if I unplug this one, we're going to lose our surveillance monitor, but maybe I don't need to. After all, I might be getting another delivery. Okay, so this is loose. Okay, now this thing here will go completely around. See? Now this is kind of the idea. If I could somehow use this, here's my chair. I don't want to sit on the floor. I almost did a couple of times. something like that is really bad for an old person if you fall and can't get up. I don't even have my phone here to call for help. Well, if I'm laying on the floor, how could I get to the phone, right? So if I could make an apparatus now that would fit onto the camera so that the camera could be moved, you know, like back and forth this way, like closer, like the center of rotation is right here. So this is where you would have the center of whatever it is you're trying to video, like a turret, for instance. It would be directly underneath this center line. But the camera has to be moved out a little bit. And then also you need a counterweight. Otherwise it's going to bind. If it's perfectly balanced, this would turn quite easily. But right now it needs a little adjusting. But the idea is good. But when I made this thing, that's not what I had in mind. I had in mind, you know, sliding it one way or the other, like it'll slide on those rails you see up there. And that was the plan. I just slide it where I want it, and then move the camera up and down. But I'm not using it. I can't remember well, I guess the last time I used it was when I was photographing the manual. It's good for something like that. If you want to hang the camera looking straight down, it's absolutely excellent. Anyway, just let me push stop here for a minute and think about this. This represents the center of rotation, give or take a quarter of an inch. Now, the problem is the camera is so heavy that I have to, in order to keep this from slowly descending, I have to really crank that. So I've got to come up with something different. The idea is good, only it's going to have to be a solid piece that goes straight across to where the counterweight will hang. There has to be a counterweight, otherwise it kind of binds. Now, you can see how it's going to go here. Now, if there was a counterweight there, it would go very smoothly as long as you adjusted it, sort of like a balance scale. But the way it is right now, it just can't handle the stress. But it's getting late and I'm getting tired. We'll see you in the morning. Well, it is morning. And while I am thinking about my upside down turntable, I think we better get our breakwaters in place here. And my experience with Trumpeter is that they have done a very good job of making parts fit together. So I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of trouble here today, unless, possibly, when I painted the deck, the paint sort of plugged up the positioning holes, and the pins aren't going to want to drop in. But I think a little bit of extra thin here will take care of that. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move you over on the other side here, looking this way. Now there's a lot of holes there, but there's only going to be 3 that are going to line up with those pegs. Most of those holes are for, the larger ones anyway, are for mushroom vents. Maybe I'll just move this out of the way for the time being here. And okay, that one fits, that one fits. fits. And this is the first time I seated it right down in all 3 holes. Okay, let's reposition here and get our extra thin going, and we'll do it the same way as we did yesterday. It worked pretty good. We got a comment from Tony, and he was mentioning how it's a good idea to not be trying to glue paint to paint, and I fully agree with that. But in this case, I believe that because we have such a large surface area, attached together, that once this all evaporates, I think it's going to be a fairly strong fit there. And yes, we can see where the sprue goo, you might call it, or paint goo, is sort of oozing out. But once again, I think you're going to be surprised at how that will disappear, most of it. Okay, let's quit poking at it here. Let's just let it, you might say, crystallize. Okay, this one, it also only has 3 positioning pegs. So it looks like we got, obviously one goes there. And then these little boxes are going to fit around, hopefully they're going to fit around the, yeah, that peg goes in there. Yeah, these ones are not going down quite as easy as the other one. Yeah, that one goes there. No, I don't want to break the pegs up by pushing down too hard either. You know what? I think to make it easy for myself here, I'm going to drill those holes out just a little bit bigger. And then we'll rely on these boxes to help center everything where it's supposed to go, even though there might be a little bit of play in the holes, if you know what I mean. And if it's a half a millimeter one way or the other, it doesn't make any difference. No one's going to notice anyway. Okay. Now, this is too big. It's too bad it was a little bit smaller. It would work good for enlarging a hole like this, but I think this is just a little bit overkill, so I'm just going to use a drill bit. Yeah, I think that'd be just about right. Now, is the chuck on this gonna close down small enough? Or am I gonna have to maybe use the adapter? little bit off center here, but for what we want to do, that should be all right. Okay, maybe I'll move you in a bit here. And you can't quite see it, but there's another one right there. And the third one is over here, out of sight. Now, where's my vacuum cleaner? Okay, let's give this another try here. Alright, I think that if I was to take some, well, maybe not. I was going to say if I was to take some, pull it back out here now. Let me move you in a bit. Now, if I was to take and run some extra thin around these boxes, that's where it seems to be binding now. What have I got here? A little bit of a burr there. Okay, yeah, just a little bit, and it would sort of soften the paint, and then this would fit down. I don't think we need to. Let's just try it and see what happens here. That might be too much. I don't know if you can see it, but the extra thin is just sort of wicking its way along the crack there, or along the 90-degree ledge, you might call it. Now, I would think that this is probably going to fit together a lot better. As long as I don't wait too long. If I wait too long, then it's going to harden again, right? There. It could be that I'm not going to need any more glue. That might be enough to hold it down, and it will give the illusion of being fastened all the way along. And that way we're not going to have any, sort of a mess like we kind of got right here a little bit. Well, it's not really a mess. It's just that anybody who looks real close will know what I did. Just give this some pressure here. Okay. Now is the time when I would like to have my overhead turntable, because we could look all around these. Well, I'm still thinking about it. Now, I was thinking of using this as the counterbalance for the turntable, and I but I think it might be a little bit too heavy. I'd like to find something that's more or less equal weight of the camera in combination with the heaviest lens, which is probably the macro lens here. Okay, I'm not going to test it to see how strong it is, but I think it's okay. Now I'm going to keep this here handy because I got a feeling we're probably going to be needing it in other places. I think it's a lot easier to slightly enlarge a hole than to try and pare down the pedestal part of a mushroom vent, if you know what I mean. So I'll just keep it handy. And I think that, where's our manual here? What else we got to go here? Okay, we got these on. We're going to leave the anchors and the anchor chain until later. Have we done step 15? I think we've done step 15. We got everything on here. All right. 16. Mushroom vents. Well, we've got them all made as far as I know. Okay. It appears that most of the mushroom vents in step 16 are the G5s, which is these little ones here, that there are, I think, 90 of them or something. Yeah, and they start, we may as well start at the back and, work our way to the bow. So the very first one would be this one right here, which is actually this one right here. Like I say, there's a lot of them. I am not going to video putting in every single one, let me tell you. I think what we'll do is we'll try and do some nice close-ups of the problems I'm going to have getting a row in, and we can just assume that the rest are going to go equally as bad. Okay, but you know what? I think we're going to wait until the next episode for this. I likely will work at this later today. No promises. I do once again hope to work on my overhead turntable. And yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. All being well, we'll see you tomorrow.